Now, Talk Real Estate with Sharon McNamara, sponsored by Boston Connect Real Estate Services.
Hi, I'm your host, Sharon McNamara, and you are listening to Talk Real Estate Roundtable. Let me share a little bit about my background before we get started. I am the broker-owner of Boston Connect Real Estate, a boutique firm that is home to over 30 real estate sales and marketing agents who service home buyers and home sellers throughout Boston, the South Shore, the South Coast, and Cape Cod. Our firm takes pride in assisting our clients in the next chapter of their lives by taking a holistic approach to their real estate endeavors. We believe that every move should be a moving experience. Every week, my co-host Melissa Wallace and I will provide you with my team's unique marketing approach to selling homes and share with you our expertise in navigating the home buying process. We value the experience of our agents at Boston Connect Real Estate so much that not only will you hear my perspective on real estate topics, occasionally you will hear the expert thoughts and opinions of our experienced agents at Boston Connect Real Estate. Be a part of our roundtable. If you have any questions during the show, please call 781-837-4900. We love to talk real estate. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and wherever you like to listen to podcasts at Talk Real Estate Roundtable. If you would like a one-on-one consultation with me and my team to discuss your real estate needs, you can connect with me at bostonconnect.com or 781-826-8000. Now, sit back, relax, take good notes, and let's talk real estate.
And good morning to all my South Shore neighbors. You are listening to Talk Real Estate Roundtable. My name is Melissa Wallace, and I am joined live and in studio by the one and only Sue Bollinger.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Well, I'm doing okay.
We were literally just talking. I can't believe I just asked you that because we were just talking about how crazy life is right now.
It's crazy.
And it's not just real estate, it's life in general.
Yeah.
Because guess what? We do have lives.
Yeah.
But yeah, wild.
Wild stuff going on.
Yeah. Oh
so.
my gosh. And not all of it good. So I'm thinking about you and everybody. But
yeah.
Oh my gosh. What a life right now.
It's been sort of a crazy week. Like I was just telling you, my son's car was hit by a tow truck driver.
Yeah.
Who fell
asleep at the wheel.
Yep. And totaled his car, his brand new car, by the way. It's only 6 months old, I think.
Yeah.
And then my son's girlfriend was hit by a car.
Yeah. I mean, when you told me that, I was shocked. I'm like, I mean, I know it happens every day, but when I just can't even believe, how do you not see somebody crossing the street?
It's just crazy. She was hit by a car, thrown 20 feet. And she's in the hospital now. Prayers are welcome, by the way.
Yes,
for
we
those
are
listening.
praying for. And what's her name?
Myaleah.
Yes. Okay, so we're praying for Myaleah. I cannot even believe this.
Yeah, it's just nuts. It's been one of those weeks. So
yeah,
I have one son, obviously in the hospital with his girlfriend. The other is, mourning the loss of his brand new car.
Yeah.
Which is I'm pretty sure it's totaled. We'll find out on Tuesday, but
well, hopefully because it was not his fault, and
and
this guy works for a company. Hopefully it'll all be taken care of.
Hopefully.
But what a headache!
I know, what a nightmare. But I mean, it's it's a weird. I don't know if the stars are aligned a certain way, because I'm having real estate stuff happen. That's crazy too.
Yeah. So I know we're going to be talking about some myths today, but getting real about real estate is, we try to talk about the real things on this show, and sometimes things don't go well, and sometimes you catch people doing things that they probably shouldn't be doing, which is something that you've experienced this week, and you have to put on your hat of being no, I'm going to keep the best interest of my client, and you're doing something wrong, so we're moving on to somebody else.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what's happened this week, because there was a deal that is not coming together. And I mean, I think we could probably hold it together. I don't think it's worth it. I think we had 5 offers on one of my listings, and we're going to move to the next offer because
moving on. Sometimes you just have to
call it. You got to call it.
Got to call it.
So,
well, I want to give you a minute to reintroduce yourself. I know you've been on the show a million times, but in case somebody hasn't caught one of your past shows, reintroduce yourself.
Absolutely. My name is Sue Bollinger, and I've been selling real estate for over 20 years. I stopped counting at 20 because I don't want to feel old, just so you know, but it's been over 20 years. I've been with Boston Connect almost since the beginning, 1 year in.
Wow.
So I've been selling real estate full time. I work with both buyers and sellers throughout the South Shore. So
there you go. You live here in Pembroke?
Yes, live here, right here in Pembroke. I've raised my family in Pembroke.
You're originally from Pembroke?
Originally from Pembroke.
I'm just going to tell your bio. I'm just going to let you know what's going on with you. And this is where you lived.
I love the town of Pembroke, and, you know, I'm involved in a lot of things with the town as well. Yeah. So I'm on the school committee. And
not grievance, but what's the next one up?
So right? I also serve on the professional standards for Massachusetts Association of Realtors.
Yeah.
So
if you work with Sue and you're a realtor, you better do what you're supposed to.
Yes. So
you better do what you're supposed to, because she knows the rules.
I know the rules, and you know, I mean, that's what happened this week. To be honest, like somebody didn't follow the rules, and it was really frustrating. I was calling Sharon, like, can you, So what do we do now?
Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, and you used to be part of our mentoring program. We don't do a mentoring program now currently at Boston Connect Real Estate, but you had several successful agents, you know, part
Tracy
of your
Grady was one of mine.
She'll be on next Saturday. So Tracy, you know, worked under Sue and just learned everything that she could from Sue.
She and Jim are like rock stars. They are so good at what they do. You know, I love them. But
anyways, all about you. So I try to, when I have a guest, I try to ask them, like, what are some things that are going on in your business that you want to talk about, or any topics you want to talk about? And you came up with this one.
Yes.
So any particular reason you wanted to talk about some real estate myths, whether they're here on the South Shore or just really in general for real estate? Any reason why you wanted to talk about this?
Well, these are like questions that I get all the time, honestly. People just ask me, you know, some of these are like, you know, things that people ask.
Yeah.
And I think they're common misconceptions or myths, or, you know, people just don't understand what's going on in the market. So I think it's important to address them.
I think so too.
You know, there's a lot of, you know, wrong ideas out there, and people really need to lean into a professional to get, you know, the real story.
Yeah. The behind the scenes real story in real estate.
That's right.
So let's just get into it. So myth number 1, we're going to be talking about every home sells over asking.
Yeah, I love this one. You know, I think people are starting to realize, you know, that we're entering a little bit different of a market. You know, so what I explain to my sellers is this: if you are overpriced, you will be, you know, sitting on the market forever.
Yeah.
Like I had a listing this year. I won't say which one it was, but it started out very high because they had done a lot of renovations, and they just thought, oh, well, I saw that this one sold for this price, so I think we should list at this price. It's really not how it works. You know, you have to price within the market value, or you're not going to get the multiple offers.
Or the market won't come to you.
Yeah, or the market won't come to you. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to be within that market range. So when you are sitting with, you know, a potential listing client, you give them a range, don't you? You give them a range of, here's your high, here's your low. Where would you like to land?
And so when somebody says, I'd like to go 20,000 higher than your range, you know, I give them the warning.
Yeah,
warning. Yeah, exactly.
Warning,
like, I don't want to say no.
sell.
I mean, let's be honest. Like, you know, this is not my financial future. It's your financial future.
Yeah.
So it's really difficult when someone comes and says, you know, like they want to go 20,000 higher than my range, because, like, you know, they might get 20,000 higher.
Yeah.
And the truth is if they had listed within the range, they probably would have.
Yeah.
Because you're going to end up with a bunch of people bidding on the property, and then it ends up going over. But then, you know, there's that voice. There's always that seller who says, well, I don't want to bid against myself if I don't price it at this higher price, and then I don't get what happens if I price it at the lower price and then I only get offers at the lower price?
Right.
But the truth is that just means that the market value is the lower price.
Yeah. Yeah. So coming from experience and being in, a certain market, I don't even really feel like the market that I was in is much different than the market now. Like it's only 2 years ago, but like I still feel like there's a lot of buyers out there, and there are multiple offers on properties. And again, it has to do with the pricing, and then things you can't change as well. So the location of a home, it could be the best home in the entire world, but you can't change where it is unless it's got wheels on it and you're, towing it behind you. But
exactly.
I just remember when I was, looking for a home, yes, I could go up to a particular number, but I didn't want to start looking at that number because I already had in my head, okay, I know that I have some competition out there with other buyers. So like, I don't want to start looking at the top of I could financially afford to go up to that, but I didn't want to start there. So I could start at something that probably was listed at probably the lower end of their range.
Yeah.
But knew the potential to sneak up there at the higher part of the range. And I was okay with going up there as long as it made sense financially.
And let's face it, if a house is listed at $550 and you're pre-approved for $600, if you go in there and look at the house and it's your dream home and it's everything that you want, and you know that there's going to be, 10 other people bidding the same, they're all going to be writing offers. Of course you're going to do something. You're going to increase your price.
Yeah.
You're going to try to give your best offer, potentially even going up to $600 if you're pre-approved for $600. If that seller lists that at $600, just like you said, you're going to think like, oh, well, should I even bother?
I don't want to go up to $625 or I can't afford to, or like I feel like you already have in your head like, oh, I can't afford that house.
I can't afford it.
And then when it starts to sit, you're like, oh, well, what's going on with it?
Because most good buyers agents instruct their clients, don't look at the top of your price range, because then there's nowhere else to go from there. You're already done.
Exactly. You're already at the roof.
Yeah.
You have nowhere to go.
Exactly.
I was just going to say something. You said something that I know, but I know us. Like if I say something and then you'll forget, and then if you say something, I'll forget. So, we'll move on. Yeah. But, just, getting back to the myth, every home sells over asking. No, it doesn't. It has to do with pricing. You have to price it. You have to have a pricing strategy. So, if a seller is okay with sitting on the market, because sometimes that happens. Hey, let's test the market. We have some time. We don't necessarily have to sell in the next month or so. Like, let's test it. Yeah. That happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then you just sort of see, you kind of get backwards momentum. Like, you just sort of see where the market's at, and you don't ever want your property to have this stigma of, what's wrong with it? It's been sitting there. Why did they price it so high? So it really just depends on where your motivation really is as a seller.
And I do find that if I say list it between, $525 and $575, and then you want to list it $600, I do find that you end up getting at the lower end of that range because it sits on the market, and then after a couple of weeks, people are like, "What's wrong with that house? It hasn't sold.
What's wrong with it?"
In this market, it happens all the time.
Yeah,
why hasn't it sold yet? And then people are like lemmings, like they don't like to be the outlier.
Yeah.
And so they think, okay, well, all these other people thought something was wrong with this house. So there must be something wrong with it that I'm not seeing. And then they don't go look and they don't make a bid.
Yeah.
So there's a whole psychology behind it, and pricing is so important. So
we watched, I know Ginny Wandell is watching. She's a full-time realtor here at Boston Connect Real Estate. She said, speaking of rock stars, ... that's you, Sue.
Oh, Ginny, you're the best. I think that of Ginny too. She's like one of the
she
best
really is.
agents.
She is.
I love working with Ginny.
She has a myth too, and we'll get into that one once we're over this one or a couple of them. But Ginny and Sharon and I a couple weeks ago sat downstairs and watched this Brian Buffini. Sort of like bold predictions, or like what's going on for the rest of the year, or sort of where the market is. And are some places in this country where it has switched to a buyer's market.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that, Florida, it has switched to a buyer's market. And this is the thing, like every few years or 10 years or whatever the algorithm is, it does change. It goes, it flips. And I think that, at some point we might see it flip back to a buyer's market, because potentially some of these seller clients sort of missed that window of opportunity of selling, during the COVID times, and even after, even up till now, of, okay, where there was such crazy bidding and, going over so much. And, but the factor that is no longer is the interest rate was so much lower than it is now. So, but on the flip side, that's why a lot of sellers aren't selling, is because, why would I sell my house? I have a 3% interest rate.
Absolutely.
So trying to make their current home work.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
I mean, I totally understand that. I think about it sometimes too. Like, would I want to, sell, Taya's going to be, my daughter, my youngest is going to, graduate high school this year. Do I really want to sell my house maybe, and maybe buy right size, as we say?
Yeah.
But if I were to get a mortgage, the mortgage would end up being more than what I'm currently paying because of the interest rates.
Yeah.
Why would I want to do that?
Exactly.
Exactly. I think a lot of people sort of have that same mindset.
So every home sells over asking. Yeah. Not particularly, especially when it's a buyer's market. They sort of have like home court advantage, know. But yeah. So myth number 2, waiving contingencies is the only way to win.
I know that's a good one.
Because Tracy is saying, come to Nashville with us.
You know what? I just might in a few years.
Well, Tracy has been pretty vocal lately about, the next couple of years they're going to be selling their home in Hanover and moving to Nashville full time.
Well, that kind of makes sense for them because they have, because their daughter.
Yeah, their daughter is there.
Can't really blame you, Tracy.
Yeah, we don't blame you. We're upset, but we don't blame you. But Tracy is saying that once you sell your home in Pembroke, then we can have like one of those like compounds where former Boston Connect agents are just living together in this compound, like a little cult down there.
Absolutely.
we might have to figure that out.
I know. Although I'll probably always have something in Pembroke. I'll buy something small and then have a place somewhere south.
You always want to have something in Pembroke?
Well, I don't know that my kids will want to go south. And that's important to me, is to be around my kids. So I need to have a place close to them. So that's where I am right now.
She's saying no income tax, build a compound. All right. We might have to.
Looking at licensing in Tennessee.
Yeah. Look for some land the next time you're there, Tracy. Yeah. Right. Dee is on Facebook. She says, "Good morning, ladies." Hello.
Good morning, Dee.
Hello, Dee. If you want to join in on any of this, anything that we talk about today, any of these myths, if you have a myth that you want to debunk or anything, you can give us a call, or you can text the studio 781-837-4900. If you're shy, we are on Facebook and Instagram. I don't know, YouTube too. We're somewhere, anywhere. Just find us. Yeah. So you can follow Boston Connect Real Estate or Sharon Costa McNamara Horton Group. I know you shared it as well.
Yes, I shared it.
We're everywhere, so you can see us. We're waving. Hello. Say hello to us. Okay, so getting back to number 2. So waiving contingencies is the only way to win.
It's really, there's so many factors. Waiving contingencies, yes. It always is better to have less contingencies, but sometimes the seller wants something like maybe they want a lease back situation, just to be able to stay in their property for a month or two after closing. Yeah. So they'll sign a use and occupancy agreement, which allows the seller to take their funds and not have a home sale contingency. Yeah. So sometimes little things like that, or, you don't have to wait. First of all, the home inspection law is about to go into play in October, where there will be no waiving the home inspection. You will, you're not going to be allowed to do that. The sellers aren't going to be.
Well, you can do it, right? Is my understanding is you can do it, but it can't be part of your offer. So, once it gets accepted, then you can tell the seller, okay, by the way, I am waiving my home inspection, or I'm not waiving my home inspection, but it won't be part. Like that whole section will be taken out, right?
You can't take it. You can't take it out of the offer, basically. So that won't be a factor anymore. But sometimes you can have a cash buyer that's offering on that 550 house, they might be offering 5, where someone with financing might be offering 6, and so it might be worthwhile. So it's not always, taking away the contingencies.
Yeah,
you have to have a compelling offer. You still need to work with your agent. I have a whole list of strategies. I actually put together a book that has a bunch of strategies in it. So whenever I work with buyer clients, I give them the book and say, okay, these are our strategies. I want you to look, whenever we go to write an offer, we're going to open this up and look at the strategies. I want you to know what we have available.
I think it's also important to note that instead of waiving contingencies, you can create or come up with this creative strategy that you don't have to waive the contingency. So you could do a larger deposit that might look more appealing to a seller. Flexible closing dates, always finding out does the seller, have a home that they're purchasing afterwards, or, what's their living situation after they sell? Do they need time or anything like that? So being flexible, instead of waiving something completely, just be like, oh, I'm flexible with this. Let's work together.
Yeah, or a shortened home inspection period.
Yeah,
or something like
tight
that.
Tight turnaround.
Yeah, so sellers like that. If you accept an offer on a Monday and you're willing to get that home inspection done in a couple of days, and you have a home inspector that will do it.
Yeah.
Well, it's not as much of a risk for a seller. So because then they could have it right back on the market if something fell apart. So.
Another thing that you could do for a strategy is an escalation clause. So, say, why don't you explain what an escalation clause is?
Sure. So it gives an opportunity. So the house is on for $550, and you don't want to pay too much more than the highest offer. And you also, maybe you think I'll pay $600, but I'd prefer not to.
Yeah. I mean, we'd all prefer not to.
We'd all prefer not to. So you can say, I'll pay, $5,000 or $2,000 or $3,000 higher than your highest offer, up to $600,000.
Yeah.
And then what that means is then you can, and usually you have to provide, the seller's agent provides proof, because it's written right in the offer that you need proof of a competing offer, and they redact.
As long as the buyer's agent puts that in there.
Yes, it has to be written. There's a specific way to write it, and you need to refer to your buyer's agent to help you write it correctly. But the way I write it, the seller has to provide proof that there's a competing offer, and they redact all of the buyer's information, but you know that it's a true offer, and it's they gave you a copy of the agency and the pre-approval letter and so forth, to show that it was a real offer.
That was really helpful for me. The first it wasn't the first offer I put in, because that did not get accepted, but I think my second offer that I put in, I did get an accepted offer and ended up walking away after home inspection, but I did an escalation clause because I knew that she had at least one other offer in hand, that there was other interest. I mean, the house was cute as a button, I thought. Cute as a button. And I just really wanted it. And I was like, even me, I was like, oh gosh, how do you know, how much to put in the offering? Because you don't know what's going on. So I was like, okay, I'll do at asking, and then, I'll go up to, X, Y, and Z. And I got it at asking, because the other one, and I'm so glad that I did the escalation clause, because had I was willing to go $25,000 more, because I was like, I know that,
right. Yeah.
And they didn't. They were at asking too. And they just ended up going. So I was like, okay, this worked for me. It's an opportunity to be like, hey, this is my offer, but I'm also willing to go up to X, Y, and Z.
Right.
So, But yeah, so I would say escalation clauses is something that you could add. Again, there are some agents and even sellers that don't like escalation clauses.
Right.
And that would be because you're two reasons. You could get 5 offers and they could all have escalation clauses. True. And you're like, well, where do you stop? Like, how do you figure out the math there? You know, because they could all be sort of the same. They could all be over the map. And so if you have multiple offers that have escalation clauses, like you can't decipher which one is sort of better.
That's true. However, a seasoned real estate agent who understands how escalation clauses work can work that to their advantage. And there's many ways of doing it, you know, but so I always allow them because I feel like I can work it, but other agents may not feel comfortable doing it. So
the other reason why some don't like it is because you're essentially putting on a piece of paper like, hey, I'll give you this. I'm willing to go to the other price, but I don't want to. It's like, all right, well, yeah, none of us want to pay what it is at the grocery store, but we do. So it's kind of like, okay, yeah, I'll pay. I'm offering you $400. I'm willing to go to $450, but I'm not going to offer that, up front. Like, you got to figure out if my offer is good enough. You tell me what I'm purchasing it for. So some people don't like that strategy.
Yes. Nope, I get that. I completely understand, but
Yeah. Again, it's a strategy.
It is.
It's a strategy so you don't have to waive some of these contingencies.
So we had a question about, we have to go back to
Oh, yeah. Okay, let me do, not
that one. But the one before, we have a question there from Matthew Bunzel. Hello, Matt. He's a friend.
Oh, do you want me to read it? I'll ask you the question. Who will be requiring the home inspection, the lenders or the state? And does the inspector need to be certified by the bank or state, depending on who is requiring it?
Yeah, so the home it's by the state. It's a new requirement by the state. So it's required. It's going to be part of the offer. Like, you're not going to be allowed to waive it.
Yeah.
So, and then all home inspectors have to be certified. I don't know if that answers the question, but if you're using someone who isn't a certified so there are laws about home inspection. So, for example, a home inspector cannot talk about the value of the home. That's against they could lose their license for doing that, from what I understand, or get fined or whatever. But they're not allowed to talk about that. So when a buyer comes in and, hires a home inspector and they see like cracks in the foundation, they're not allowed to be like, oh, well, this house is worth at least $20,000 less. Like, which, by the way, happened early in my career. That happened before it was like they got a little bit more strict on those laws. But so the home inspectors really need to be certified. The buyer does not have to do the home inspection. Yeah. So that's the key thing. It's not like the state's requiring the buyer to do a home inspection. The state is requiring that the seller not accept an offer that waives it.
It's not going to be a contingency anymore. So they can't, you can't sit with your seller and have them say, okay, I want to automatically eliminate any offer that has a home inspection.
Right.
So then you don't even look at those offers anymore. So then all that's left on the table are the ones that waived that contingency. Well, moving forward, I think after October maybe.
Yep.
That home inspection contingency is no longer going to be in the offer. So you just see every other contingency, every other space that you fill out. And so it's fair game for everybody. There's some people who don't like it and some people who do like it. We'll see moving forward how it works out. But, moving forward after October, it's been pushed a couple times. So who knows if it's, really going to be October. Hopefully it is.
Right.
But, you'll get an offer. You don't know if they're going to do a home inspection or not. You can't ask because, again, it is not going to be a contingency that is going to be in the offer. So if you accept an offer, then the buyer's agent has an opportunity to say, hey, we are going to be doing a home inspection or we are not going to be doing a home inspection. So come October, all of our forms will be changed. where it's not a contingency in there.
Yeah. Just so you know, too, like I've had people not like they had the right to do the home inspection in their offer, but they just came in with, their father who was a contractor just to look it over, kind of thing. I don't recommend you do that because a contractor is going to miss a lot of the things that the home inspector is trained to look for.
Yeah.
For example, the home inspector will go through and teach you how to use, how to shut off the water to your house if there's an emergency, or, tell you the age of the water heater and talk about how to change the filter.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
Simple things like that. And they'll poke around and look for termites and, or things like that. So, it is important to have a home inspection. However, I have had people come in, they had no intention of doing a home inspection. They just want to make sure that it's structurally sound by their contractor, uncle, or whoever. Yeah. And then they move forward. So,
and the thing with that is also, like, even if they, at this point in time, even if they do have somebody like that, my Uncle Joe is this, comes in and he might say something, the weight of that might not be heavy at all. That's because they're not a licensed home inspector. So
you can't use that to negotiate.
You can't use that to negotiate. Just be like, I would go back and say, well, that's your opinion. Do you have a professional opinion?
Right.
So it's important to use a licensed home inspector if you're going to be going through a home like that. She's saying your levels are still low, so just grab that closer.
All right.
Because that has weight. So the home inspectors, we've had home inspectors on the show before. We're going to have another one soon when this whole law goes through. But they have to go through, they have to renew their licenses too. They have to do some continuing education too. So, it's not just, 30 years ago I took a class and, that's it. Like, they have to keep up with what they're doing as well. So
absolutely,
especially with things that are changing, different heating systems that come out and all these things, like they need to know how to, work those things so they can show somebody how to do it too. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So that's a good point.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the next myth, hopefully you can hear me okay. So if you can't, just let me know. But the next myth is spring is the only good time to sell.
Yeah. What do you think about that? Do you think that's a myth?
This is absolutely a myth.
Absolutely.
There's always someone who needs to sell, and there's always someone who needs to buy. So, I think, it's important, that you look at the market, you look at your competition. I would say the buyers that are looking around, the holidays generally tend to be more dedicated buyers, and they're, ready to buy, they're not just looking, they're out like seriously looking. I think in the spring, people sort of get, they come out of the woodwork because the weather's nice and they look at houses. Yeah. And sometimes people they were just kind of considering it, and they go to the open houses. You don't really get as much of that in the winter because people don't want to leave on a cold, rainy day. Or snowy day.
I think it also depends on the lifestyle of the buyer too. So if they have kids in school, it's not really, probably ideal for them to move in the middle of a school year. Absolutely. So they wait until the spring. They're out of, and so you have a couple month buffer of being able to sell your house or buy one. So,
and then also, I would say, like, if you're listing around the holidays too, like the first of the year, a lot of relos tend to move around that time. They get their job offers for the first of the year or around that time.
Yeah, we've said a few times on the show over the years that, with relocation buyers, they're not as emotionally invested with the property because they probably will only be there for a couple of years if that's what their job sort of requires them to be. Right. And the higher priced homes actually sell because, again, they're not emotional about it. They're moving for a job. So
Right. Absolutely.
We've seen the trend of higher priced homes selling more so, December, January, February, those times, so they can start the year off in a new home.
Yeah, absolutely. So bottom line, the real estate market is active year-round. There's always a buyer out there.
There's always a buyer.
Will want to
There's
move.
always a seller.
There's always a seller.
There's a bum for every seat. There's a house for every buyer.
That's right.
That's what I like to say.
Yeah.
I mean, I have said it a million times. I'll say it again. The right time to sell or the right time to buy is when you are ready. So that happens every single day. There are things that happen in life, whether it's new life or life ending, that could push that decision to buy or sell something. So
absolutely.
Like I said, whether you're in the process of beginning a life or ending, then, you could be selling a parent's home or buying a new home for your growing family, anything like that. These things happen every single day. That's life.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's always a house being sold and there's always a buyer looking for one.
Absolutely.
Let's see. Next one. Let's get to Ginny's. So, we have a phone call.
Yes, we have a phone call.
Who's on the phone?
We have Dee in America's hometown, good old Plymouth.
Hello, Dee in Plymouth.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good.
I haven't talked to you in a while.
I know. So I want to talk about the sold as is.
Okay.
So I guess I'm confused by that because everybody says, just put sold as is.
Mm-hmm.
And then you don't have to worry about anything. Well, what is that?
Well, that's actually a really good question. I actually had a listing just recently that was sold as is. And I think it can mean a couple of different things, but most often when someone puts sold as is, it's because the seller doesn't have the means to fix any issues. Mm-hmm. So, that doesn't necessarily mean that there won't be negotiation in the price.
Mm-hmm.
But usually when I put a property on the market and I put sold as is, I'm pricing it according to its condition.
Yeah.
So I had 2 properties recently that I sold priced according to its condition and sold as is. And one was because the seller was in a nursing home.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was, he had to move into it, or assisted living, I should say. And so he just
didn't have the means or the just couldn't physically do it himself.
He couldn't physically do it. He doesn't have the finances to do it. He's in a nursing home. Or assisted living. He's not able to do. And in fact, I had to hire someone to even clean out the house.
Mm-hmm.
So you can still do a home inspection on an as-is sale.
Mm-hmm.
So that's important too. That doesn't mean don't do a home inspection. That just means don't expect the seller to fix anything.
Yeah.
This is priced according to the condition. Take a look at what needs to be done. Make a list, and you can do it after closing.
Mm-hmm.
And I had it in 2 listings. There was another listing similar, where the spouse passed away, and the seller just didn't have the means to do, or she's just not able to do or fix anything herself.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a very common thing, but that doesn't mean you don't negotiate the price.
Yeah. There's still room for negotiation. And, sometimes we see it with as is, like I said earlier, you might be selling your parents' home and you might be going through an emotional time in your life and you just want to sort of end that chapter and move on. And sometimes it's
That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, you just want a quick sale and, the house is what it is.
Right.
And, either make an offer or don't, really.
Absolutely. And I would say, too, as a seller, if you're considering that, you should not put it at the top of your price range.
Mm-hmm.
No, I wouldn't.
Yeah, so if your price range is $575 to $625, and then you want to sell as is and do nothing to fix it up, you might be at the lower end of that range. So it's really important to keep that in mind when you go to sell.
Actually, what I want to do is fix the major things that stand out, and then once those repairs are done, leave it at that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's absolutely.
Yeah.
There's ways of there's lots of different strategies. what I recommend you do is talk offline to one of us and, talk about the best way to do it, because some items bring in money and others don't. So sometimes it's worthwhile to do certain things and other times it's not. So,
Yeah.
So, but it's a really good question.
Yeah. That's a great question, Dee.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank
for the
you.
question.
Well, thank you so much, Dee. I know you watch us every week, so we appreciate it. And we always love when you call. But that was a great question. So that's great. Yeah.
Absolutely.
We love that. Well, thank you so much, Dee. You enjoy the rest of your day.
Again soon.
Yeah.
Okay,
call us back. I'll be back here on next Saturday.
Okay.
Give us a call.
Okay.
All right. Have a good day, Dee.
You too. Bye.
Yeah, that was Dee from Plymouth, longtime listener. She watches us on Facebook too. So,
yes.
Okay, so Ginny Wendell, she has a myth. So we have another call.
Oh.
Yes, we have an anonymous caller, a lovely lady down on Cape Cod in quaint Chatham.
Oh,
excellent.
Well, hello, Anonymous.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. The reason it's anonymous is because I guess I don't want to give the name of the realtor. They may get embarrassed. But we had a listing agent. We took it off the market within 30 days. He was dead cheap because he tried to get my mother, who was older, to come down on the price verbally on the phone, and he refused to turn in any written offers unless she would come down, and it was about $300,000 under market value of a home worth around 1.2.
Wow.
So I thought that was unethical. What do you think of that? Isn't that taking advantage of a homeowner and afraid of rejection of an incoming offer, knowing it's going to be low, because we think he had two buyers, one to invest at a low price, and he wanted to get a second commission and fix up the kitchen maybe or do something, and then bring in the second buyer, list it again, and then bring in the second buyer and get another commission, and then the profit for that buyer as a seller.
Oh, wow.
So a couple of things. Like I don't know this particular situation, but generally speaking, listing agents are required by law to show the seller every single offer that comes in.
Yeah.
So the listing agent is required to show you that offer.
Good, bad, or ugly,
Yes.
every single thing that comes through, even if it's not even complete.
I don't think it was in writing. He was trying to psychologically bring the seller down before putting it in writing, and I thought that was abusive a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're saying that he had a potential buyer himself, and he wanted...
He had several. He had 200 people at the open house.
Wow.
Wow, that's a lot of people.
Wow.
And
Yeah. That I mean, yes, I would say that it's not ethical to especially if you don't have anything in writing, to call your seller and say, hey, like, I think you should come down $300,000 and accept this offer. I don't know. What's your thought on it?
Well, generally speaking, I don't want to get into the way of a real estate relationship in any way. Mm-hmm. But generally speaking, I would say to any seller, if they're getting notice of an offer, mm-hmm. I would recommend that you say, I want to see it in writing. Yeah. And I'll let you know then.
Yeah.
And just leave it at that, just to make sure it's a real offer. Because sometimes people throw out offers and they're not real offers. I had that happened recently with an off-market listing this year with somebody that I know. They got a low-ball offer it wasn't even a low-ball offer. It was an offer on their house that needed a lot of work. Mm-hmm. And they thought it was a real offer, and they were trying to work with it. And they eventually had to list because it wasn't a real offer. Yeah. So, verbal only goes so far. You want to get that in writing. So I would recommend, if anybody's ever in that situation, that whether, you should just talk with your agent and say, let me know, just get it in writing and I'll let you know then.
Yeah. Also something that you could do is, if for some reason you ever feel like uncomfortable or kind of question some of the motives of any agent, really, you can pick up the phone and call their broker.
Absolutely.
And just discuss the situation with them and just say, is this sort of the way things are? Is this something that is a practice? Like, and sort of use them as a sounding board. It's their responsibility.
Actually, that's really nice that you said that. Sorry to interrupt, because he actually got his broker to call a family member of his client, the seller, because he knew that the family member was educated in real estate and a realtor in another state, and told that family member and threatened that family member not to negotiate with their family member who was the seller client, because they didn't want that family member to influence the seller, and it was their daughter. It was the seller's daughter.
Ah, that's interesting. Wow. Well, I mean,
is that allowed to call the family like that, to come between a family like that in a negotiation?
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily. I would have to look at the code of ethics for a realtor. I don't know if this person's a realtor or not, but we do have a code of ethics that we go by. But even without the code of ethics, it could potentially. I mean, I would have to know more information, of course. But what you could, what people can do when they're in a situation like this is you can call the Massachusetts Association of Realtors, and there's a way to report these things. And that's actually what I do.
That's what Sue does, yeah.
I'm on the Professional Standards Committee. And so when a member of the public calls and has a complaint about something unethical that's happened, they tell you how to fill out the form. And then it gets put before a board of 5 people, and you go and you say your complaint about the realtor. And if the realtor is found, guilty of, ethics charges, they get, fined, or, they have to go back for, continuing ed, or, there's disciplinary actions that take place. Mm-hmm. So, if you really feel that this person was unethical with you, that's your first route, is just to let the Massachusetts Association of Realtors know.
How long do you have to do that after it happens?
I believe it's either 6 months or a year. It might be a year. But definitely call. I don't know off the top of my head. I feel like that there is a time limit on it. You can't go back, 5 years ago and say this happened. But if it was 6 months ago, you could certainly call and complain. I think it's a year, to be honest.
And especially a big company like King and Grover Compass, that should not be, that should not happen.
Right. So, again, like there's a whole due process for realtors, and, they get a chance to say their side of the story. You do your complaint, and then they get a chance to say their side of the story, and they go before a committee that makes a decision. So definitely worth, exploring. For sure.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much.
On the show.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Anonymous from Chatham, and for listening and for calling in. We appreciate it. But yeah, like Sue said, if this is something that you want to explore, definitely call the Massachusetts Association of Realtors, and you can sort of get this all figured out for you. Yeah,
yes, absolutely.
So much.
All right, well, enjoy your day, Anonymous.
Enjoy the beautiful weekend.
Yeah.
You too. Happy Labor Day.
Thank you. Happy Labor Day. So 2 callers today. That's excellent.
And some comments.
Yeah. Michelle Fay, who's a full-time realtor here at Boston Connect Real Estate, she said, she agreed, the right time for you is to buy and sell. We have only gone through 3 myths?
Well, and we have I had a whole list.
Oh my gosh. You might have to come back in a couple of weeks and figure this out. Yeah, we'll keep going. But we only have about 5 minutes left in the show.
All right, let's see.
Pick your next favorite one, and we'll fly through that one. And then the rest we'll save for the next show.
This is one. The first offer is never the best offer.
Yeah.
I actually think the opposite is true.
Yeah. The first offer is the best offer?
Yes, in my experience. But usually the first offer is the strongest, because, what happens is, you want to be the first offer in, It's usually within the first week of the listing, or
putting their best foot forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the longer it's on the market, the lower the offers become. And I think we talked about this earlier too. The offers get lower and lower,
Yeah.
so that you end up lower than market value if you're overpriced. So the well-priced properties get the multiple offers, and then the first one in is usually the strongest because they're the most eager.
Yeah.
So
early bird gets the worm. Is that
yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I had one about, I was going to say, what do you think of this? Zillow always has the right market value.
Oh.
What do you think of that myth?
Well, it's funny because I always look up a Zillow file. So just from the beginning of time, I've always, every time Sharon or Mary has like a listing appointment, I've always put together a little folder for them. It's really not my responsibility anymore, but I still do it. I whatever. It takes 5 seconds to put together all this information for them. So I've always just done it in the 9 years I've been here. But I always look up the Zillow value because everybody's looking at like these third-party sites to say like, oh, I think my house is worth this. So I decided to look up my own.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
And I was like, if I could sell my house, I would sell my house for that number right now. I'm like, I don't know if that, like, sometimes it's just like way too much. And we tell this statistic, I think the CEO or something of Zillow sold his house for 30% less than what his estimate was.
I think it was like 40% less or something. Yeah.
Yeah. So no, I don't think that these third-party sites who have never been to your house, doesn't know the condition that it's in, knows how to price your house at all.
There's so many factors that go into it. I mean, the condition, absolutely, but the colors you pick on the walls, how you stage the house, there's so many little factors that go into.
Yeah. These third-party sites don't know that your roof is, 30 years old, or that you have a leak, or that your septic system failed. Like they
absolutely
don't know these things. They've just taken information from the town and sort of like divided it up.
Yes.
So like, okay, you get $500,000, you get $600,000. Like, it's just not accurate.
It's really not accurate. So you can get like a general range if your house was in great condition because they're basing it on solds.
Yeah.
But you should really never go by one of those automated sites. Call your realtor.
I think my estimate was like, okay, so I bought my house almost 2 years ago. So in November it'll be 2 years, and it's like maybe $95,000 more. Like, and I was like, I could use $95,000 right now. I'm like, oh, well, maybe we
are planning a wedding.
We are planning a wedding, so I'm like, well, maybe I could throw it on for that number and see what I get. No. But no, I do not want to go back into the buyer pool. But if you're in the buyer pool and you want to look at a house, how can people get in touch with you?
Please call me directly at 508-317-5729.
Give that number one more time.
It's 508-317-5729. Or you can email me at S as in Susan Bollinger, Bollinger, at bostonconnect.com.
Yeah, and you can go to bostonconnect.com to find all of our contact information, anybody who's been on the show with us. And why don't you tell everybody where you're going to be this weekend? Are you at Cushing Trails today?
I am at Cushing Trails today from 10 to 12. So if you want to stop by Hanson and look at the new construction condominiums, it's beautiful.
It is beautiful. I believe Mary is at Cochise Estates today from 10 to 12. That's in West Bridgewater. So if you want new construction in West Bridgewater. And then, again, open houses at Cochise Estates in West Bridgewater tomorrow from 10 to 12, and Cushing Trails tomorrow 10 to 12 in Hanson. So those are open houses. It's a holiday weekend.
Absolutely.
Enjoy your weekend. Thanks, Tim.
You're welcome.
Appreciate you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? It's a neighborly day in this beauty wood, a neighborly day for a beauty. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? I have always wanted to have a neighbor just like you. I've always wanted to live in a neighborhood with you. So let's make the most of this beautiful day. Since we're together, we might as well say, would you be mine? Could you be mine? Won't you be?